wake up in the moment smiling.
That is not nearly enough.
It was a steamy adaptation of a classic American story. It paired two actors in love, both on screen and off.
Now, we gonna be married, Miss Clara, haven't you heard?
It was romantic.
It sparked a war between a feisty movie legend and his director in a film that literally set the screen on fire.
It's a ball burner.
A racy tale of love and lust, a director climbing back from the blacklist, and a ferocious force of nature named Orson Welles. On Hollywood Backstories, The Long Hot Summer.
Morning, lady. Fine, warm day.
Yes, indeed. Pretty as a picture.
My, now, you all look like two butterflies lit out on the grass. Go again, Miss Clara.
If it's work you're looking for, you can see the foreman at the gin. If it's food, they'll take care of you around the back door.
Well, now, you hadn't hit on it yet, lady. What I'd like to see now is a man of the house.
One of the sexiest movie dramas of 1958, The Long Hot Summer blended 6 separate stories by William Faulkner into an unforgettable tale of family struggle and seduction.
You put them things down, Miss Clara, because I'm gonna kiss you.
The story of a drifter who's pushed to marry a repressed Southern belle by her powerful father. The film paired Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward in their first movie teaming.
All right, you proved it. I'm human.
Yes, ma'am, you're human, all right.
It was a sizzling story of courtship that also came true for the two stars off-screen.
The Long Hot Summer was in the bloom of their early romance, and they lit the screen.
I am no trembling little rabbit full of smoldering, unsatisfied desires.
Is that so?
Yes, that's so.
We weren't married when we did Long Hot Summer. It led to all sorts of interesting things in hotel rooms.
There was no need to say anything about that.
Newman and Woodward's real-life love story was years in the making. It started in 1952, when both were cast in the stage play Picnic.
Paul Newman was married, and he had a family, and he is a man who took being a father and a husband seriously. But through the next few years, fate kept bringing them together.
In 1957, Newman's troubled marriage finally ended, and the actor began planning a new life with Joanne Woodward. Fate would unite them on screen as well that year, as director Martin Ritt began planning a smoldering Southern drama titled The Long Hot Summer. It was based on 5 short stories and 1 novel by Pulitzer Prize-winning writer William Faulkner. For Martin Ritt, the film was the kind of breakthrough he'd long been fighting for. The politically liberal director had been blacklisted in Hollywood for 5 long years. But in 1956, Ritt jumped at the chance to make a low-budget thriller, Edge of the City. The film caught the eye of producer Jerry Wald, who brought the director to 20th Century Fox, where The Long Hot Summer would be Ritt's 3rd feature. For the starring role of Ben Quick, a rebellious and irresistible hired hand, Ritt considered such Hollywood bad boys as Marlon Brando and Robert Mitchum. But ultimately, Ritt was won over by the roguish charm of newcomer Paul Newman. Hot off his gritty performance as boxer Rocky Graziano in Somebody Up There Likes Me.
You're so tough, come on outside.
Soldier, are you just plain crazy?
Maybe I am crazy with being sick and tired of this creep joint, but at least I ain't yellow.
Newman loved the Long Hot Summer script, and before filming, he traveled to its Louisiana shoot location. There, the actor would hang out incognito in local pool halls and bars to soak up atmosphere.
It was him. He did it. My barn burned.
A barn burner is the meanest, lowest creature there is. I can't find against you, Quick. There's no proof. But I can give you some advice. Leave this county and don't come back to it.
You're the judge.
He had a lifetime of having a bad reputation, and for no cause. So he just decided that that's what he was going to be. It's like when you're a kid and someone called you a name and you decide to be one. And that's what that character was.
To play Clara Varner, the sexually inexperienced target of Ben's affections, Fox originally chose Eva Marie Saint, but destiny would lead to a different pairing.
The head of casting at the time said, Eva Marie has just gotten pregnant and she's not going to be able to do Long Hot Summer with Paul Newman. Do you know Paul Newman? I said, yes, I do.
I spent my whole life around men who push and shove and shout and think they can make anything happen just by being aggressive. And I'm not anxious to have another one around the place.
Miss Clara, you slam a door in a man's face before he even knocks on it.
To play Clara's bullying father, Will Varner, Ritt considered Edward G. Robinson and James Cagney before making a more controversial pick, Orson Welles. Welles was 20 years younger than the character, and he was hired in spite of his reputation in Hollywood as a costly and dictatorial troublemaker.
That's what I want, Varners, and more Varners, yeah, and more Varners still. Enough Varners to infest the countryside. I'm gonna see that happen, sister. Before I die, I'm gonna accomplish that, yes, ma'am. By means of that that big stud horse.
You mean you'd sell me away like that?
We're not selling you.
Yes, sell me, without caring what I feel or what I think or what I am.
For the saucy role of town madam Minnie Littlejohn, Ritt chose Angela Lansbury, who was delighted by the rare chance to play a character defined by sex.
Oh, I'm glad you made it home, you old piece of beef.
You get a little fatter, Minnie, and a little blonder.
And how about you? I understand they cut and stitched you up. Is there anything left of you worth having?
You just put 8 tin cans of beer on ice and wait to see. I'm coming back, Minnie. Later.
She was a kind of bouncy old whore, is what she was. And that's how they wanted her played. And she was the woman in town who, you know, took care of certain gentlemen. Orson was among them.
Kiss me, Will.
I got a number of friends and associates here.
Martin Ritt had a wonderful enthusiasm, an earthy, sexy quality himself. He loved the idea of the dirtiness of the carryings on and so on. And he certainly brought every bit of kind of naughty sexuality out of me in that role. More so, I think, than almost any that I played subsequently or previously.
Minnie, what are you doing?
I got a hum in my blood, and I feel as if I'd swallowed a bee.
You swallowed 5 bottles of beer in a hot sun. That's what you swallowed.
Richard Anderson would play Clara's wealthy suitor, Alan Stewart.
Do you want me the way a man wants a woman?
What I want is to help you, Clara.
21-year-old Lee Remick was cast as Clara's sexy sister-in-law, Eula.
Oh, I only know one reason for living quiet. That's if you're too old to live any other way.
And rounding out the leads was Anthony Franciosa, playing Varner's overlooked and jealous son, Jody.
From New York City, Tony Franciosa, one of the brightest new stars to come from Broadway to Hollywood.
Like Woodward and Newman, Franciosa came from a method acting background, which encouraged him to draw on his real-life emotions. For Franciosa, showing anxiety came easy. Passed over for the starring part of Ben, he was arrested just before filming for slugging a photographer who ambushed him and his wife, Shelley Winters. As a result, Franciosa was on edge throughout the shoot, a mood that worsened after filming when he was sentenced to 30 days in jail.
I'll never do anything right, do I?
Not to my immediate recollection.
You want to hear something? I'll swear it around you. All those months you were away in the hospital, I was dry. Now I'm sweating again.
I ain't got time for your personal troubles.
Franciosa wasn't alone in feeling the heat of what was to become a sometimes stormy production. But between the battles, the movie would also generate another kind of heat, as the romance between its two stars was indelibly brought to the big screen.
You look mighty young there, Miss Clara, all curled up in your bed. Like you just washed your hands and brushed your teeth and said your prayers like a little girl. I'll bet you was a mighty appealing little girl. I bet your hair hung in a tangle down your back. I bet you knew where to look for robin's eggs and blackberries. Now you wear a white dress and a ribbon in your hair and I'll waltz you around under the moon. Clara? Clara. Clara.
On September 23, 1957, shooting began on the long, hot summer around Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Filming was set for a thrifty $1.5 million. But what the movie lacked in money, it made up for in sexually suggestive scenes that had Hollywood censors squirming.
Well, your friend left early, without even firing a shot.
I was kissed goodnight, Mr. Quick.
Kissed and left. That'd been me. I'd have stayed till sunup.
Oh, my, aren't you reckless?
Aren't you?
No, I'm just skittish, Mr. Quick, just plain skittish.
Each day on the set, the actors savored the rich dialogue adapted from William Faulkner by writers Irving Ravitch and Harriet Frank Jr.
You can pack yourself a picnic basket and you can follow some woodsy trail. You can ride off steam and bad temper if you happen to be afflicted that way. And if you see a young fella along the way who happens to take your eye, why, you can put him up behind you and ride double.
It's juicy language, and that's what they wrote. I mean, consistently.
Equally pleasurable for the cast was watching Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward transfer their chemistry into scenes of on-screen seduction.
You got a thin skin is what you got. But the world belongs to the meat eaters, Miss Clara, and if you have to take it raw, take it raw.
Each of us was fighting for their own close-up.
No, I think we had a very close relationship, and we got along, and I think that's what suddenly emerged.
You put them things down, Miss Clara, because I'm going to kiss you. I'm going to show you how simple it is. You please me, and I'll please you. I know what's troubling you. It's all those boys hollering for you there every night.
They seemed to have such a total understanding of each other that they were able to work in scenes where they were at each other's throats or falling under each other's spells.
But although Newman and Woodward loved the project, co-star Orson Welles quickly lived up to his reputation for trouble. With his directing career at a standstill, after a string of flops, Welles was now a struggling actor for hire, desperate to earn money for his independent film projects. The classically trained Welles was also uncomfortable and anxious amid a cast of so-called method actors like Newman, Woodward, and Franciosa.
Am I your son? Or ain't I your son?
I put down a big footprint. I said, here, step in, fill it.
God rest his soul. Yeah, Orson had a hard time. It must have been a terrible, terrible feeling for him to have to be confronted by all these young hotshots who thought they were so great because they came from New York and the Actors Studio. It was a problem.
He was terribly having difficulty living in his skin. He was very, very heavy. We were working under dreadful conditions of heat, and he was perspiring, and he seemed to have a lot of very thick makeup on. He looks as if he'd been playing Othello.
And he had a fake nose with sweat underneath. And there's nothing worse than having someone start a scene and they say, "Are you ready?" And the makeup guy comes over like this, starts picking, gluing your nose back on. That's what they do.
He was always nudging and pushing for things and wanted to change lines, but had to be carefully handled so that he didn't always get his way, because his way wasn't necessarily the best way for everybody else in the scene.
You don't think I'm going to send Clara to you without a stitch, huh? I take care of my own. I'm going to see to it that you got the means to take care of Clara.
Mr. Varner, you're making a mistake.
Orson's looking at me with sort of this sly grin as to say, well, I will take care of him in no time.
You mean there ain't no engagement between you two?
None at all.
Then he did something I didn't like. I started my lines, and he went, oh, well, yes, yes, you know, he started overlapping, and he started throwing in some ad-libs, and finally I went like this. And Marty says, oh, what's the matter, Dick? I said, well, I can't get the words out. I mean, I can't. And Wells said, you're right. And from then on, we got on famously.
Have you lost your mind?
Look here, you shut up. I'm talking to your sissy
If you
son.
just quiet down a minute, I'll tell you something. I'm no good for your daughter. I never was. I never will be.
There was something you couldn't resist about Orson, even though he was a son of a bitch at times. I mean, there's no question about it. He was very difficult.
You got yourself a blue suit? Get it clean. You got some black shoes? Have them polished. Get yourself a haircut. You're gonna be married.
Wells and director Martin Ritt openly battled on the set, and as tensions grew, filming ran behind schedule due to weather that made The Long Hot Summer an appropriate title. Each weekend, Newman and Woodward escaped the heat and occasional hurricanes for the pleasures of nearby New Orleans.
We also bought a bed, which we found in an antique shop, and it was quite large for a brass bed. And the antique dealer said, well, the reason it is that large is it was made for a whorehouse. And I was so excited by that, I said, oh my heavens, I have to buy this, which I did. And it's upstairs in our bedroom. We've had it ever since.
Will, you know, in all this scheming we've been doing, we forgot something, you and me.
I get preached to on Sunday.
Yeah, I know, and you don't listen. And neither did I. I didn't take too easy to the idea. In fact, I've been a little long coming around to it, but, well, life's a pretty valuable thing, and it ought to be treated with a certain amount of respect. Now, you're old enough to know that, and I'm young enough to learn it.
Well, isn't that the truth?
On November 21st, 1957, 6 days over schedule, director Martin Ritt could finally celebrate the end of filming on The Long Hot Summer. But as Ritt oversaw editing of his steamy drama, the director realized he had a serious problem. Orson Welles' dialogue was almost completely incomprehensible.
I better introduce myself. Don't you keep abreast of any of this Beulah? Oh, yeah, just young boys, healthy young animals. Well, you know that,
That's right, because he was speaking, so he had a whole sort of way of doing Southern accents. You couldn't understand a word he said.
Yes, I'm old self again. I was gonna open a little more, you. Wait, Ella. Fire's out. Thanks to you all.
Remixing and re-editing Welles' dialogue was more difficult than editing the entire film. And Welles himself seemed proud of the problem, telling a reporter that he'd shown his fellow method actors how to mumble. But as Martin Ritt labored over post-production, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward were busy planning a much happier project.
After the filming, they went to Las Vegas and had a wonderfully tacky Las Vegas wedding with people who were appearing in the various casinos as witnesses, like people like Sophie Tucker and Edie Gourmet. It does fit in with their sense of humor.
The world premiere at Baton Rouge, Louisiana of The Long Hot Summer, William Faulkner's violent study of Southern love and hate, is attended by a number of exciting events. One seeing Lieutenant Governor Fraser honoring Joanne Woodward for her sterling performance in the exciting Jerry Wald CinemaScope production.
The Long Hot Summer premiered on March 5, 1958. Reviewers were quick to praise the work of the film's dynamic stars. After years of struggle, Martin Ritt was finally launched as a director of commercial hits, and the movie became Fox's 6th top-grossing title of the year. Its stars had more reason to celebrate when Newman earned Best Actor honors at the Cannes Film Festival, and Joanne Woodward won the Best Actress Oscar for her previous film project, The Three Faces of Eve. Although Woodward and Newman would re-team on many more films, most critics and fans consider The Long Hot Summer an early career high point, thanks to its colorful script, its cast of old pros and sexy newcomers, and the unmistakable passion between its two stars.
the two of them together, I think, made a wonderful duo. So that's what made the relationship so incredibly exciting and very sexy.
Everything worked. Everything pulled together.
Very romantic. It's a very romantic film.
Change your name and you dye your hair, and maybe, just maybe, you might be safe from me.